Hey there, people. So today I'm bringing you my Terraria Skeletron Prime guide, suitable for expert mode, but good for normal as well, covering the boss, how to spawn it, strategies, armor, weapons, and preparation. I will be showing you the boss fight itself, and I'll cover drops at the end. We'll be including the mechanical skull summoning item and the mechanical battery piece expert drop. Again, it's just less necessary to super prepare for normal mode. I'm going to cover what you'll need for expert mode in here. I'll explain wherever there are differences between normal and expert or different game versions. I'll include timestamps for each section of the video in the video description so you can skip ahead if you like to something relevant to you. First of all, let's talk about the boss. Skeletron Prime is a flying metal skull with big giant arms, thought of as a hard mode version of Skeletron, who of course is pre-hard mode. Instead of Skeletron's hands, Skeletron Prime has 4 arms. Skeletron has the normal 2. Skeletron Prime has 4. The vice, which is sort of like a pincher thing, the laser gun, the saw, and the cannon. Like Skeletron, only the head actually has to be defeated, although it is easier to finish the fight if the arms are defeated first. Unlike Skeletron, when Skeletron Prime launches into a spinning attack, its defense actually doubles, whereas regular old Skeletron, the defense actually drops in the spinning attack, but Skeletron Prime, the defense actually doubles, so it's less of a good opportunity to do some damage there, although, you know, it can still be a bit of an opportunity. Now let's talk about spawning Skeletron Prime. Like all 3 mechanical bosses, Skeletron Prime can randomly spawn any night after smashing 1 or more altars, Crimson or Demon altars, and it becomes a 10% chance each night that he'll just randomly show up and try to kill you if you haven't defeated him yet. A message will foreshadow Skeletron Prime randomly spawning the coming night. Either it will say on the updated platforms, you feel the air getting colder around you, or on the pre-update platforms, it'll say the air is getting colder around you. Small difference. If you see that message, but you aren't yet ready for the fight, fleeing well underground will stop Skeletron Prime from spawning. Once Skeletron Prime has been defeated in that world, it will stop randomly spawning. And otherwise, if you don't want to wait for the random spawn or you've already defeated it when you want to fight it again, you can also summon Skeletron Prime by crafting and using the mechanical skull item, which only works at night. And yeah, it will only randomly spawn when night falls as well. So the mechanical skull is crafted at a hard mode anvil, a mithril or orichalcum anvil like this one here. This is a mithril one. Your orichalcum one would be pink. It'll be crafted from 3 souls of light, 3 souls of night, 5 iron or lead bars, and 30 bones. So I'm going to do that right now. Mechanical skull, 30 bones, 5. They call it any iron bar, either iron or lead, 3 souls of light, 3 souls of night. Bam, mechanical skull. Simple as that. So Skeletron Prime, of course, must be defeated before dawn or else it will become far more powerful. Also, this mechanical skull item that I just crafted, once you're in hard mode, it's a 1 in 2,500 chance that you can also just randomly get it from any enemy if you have not yet defeated Skeletron Prime. So if you haven't defeated the boss, you may get that item just while you're fighting regular enemies. Now let's talk about the boss's attacks and the battle info. Skeletron Prime's limbs are immune to the poison, venom, confused, and on fire debuffs, so you cannot poison or light it on fire and so on. The head is immune to those same ones as well, plus it's also immune to Cursed Inferno, Shadow Flame, Penetrated, Celled, and Daybroken debuffs. So the arms are a little bit easier. There's more things you can do to the arms than the head. No part of Skeletron Prime is immune to Frostburn or Ichor, making both of them very helpful for this fight. If you're in a Crimson world, you actually have a bit of an advantage because you can apply Ichor to all of them. Prime Cannon, I'm just going to talk about the arms here. So the Prime Cannon arm fires bombs. Usually it fires them up in the air from above. The bombs will only detonate if they hit solid blocks. However, they will not destroy blocks. They will not detonate when hitting platforms or even the player, actually. So basically, if you make your arena out of platforms, you can mostly avoid those bombs, and it's not a big deal. Now, the Prime laser arm fires red lasers similar to the Destroyer and the Retinator half of the twins. Usually those are fired horizontally by the laser arm. The Prime Saw and the Prime Vice are the melee arms, so those first two were sort of ranged, and the last two are melee. They both swipe or charge at the player. The Saw usually attacks from below, so basically you get Skeletron Prime. The laser is top left, I think, and the cannon is top right, and the Saw is bottom left. It comes down below you and tries to swipe up mostly, and like up and down. And then the Vice usually comes at you from the diagonal and swipes kind of wildly all over the place. It will also sometimes make lunging attacks or stabbing sort of attacks with that pincher. It's sort of more fast and targeted occasionally with those attacks. So yeah, you'll want to watch out for that, obviously. Now, the head itself will also perform spinning charge attacks occasionally, which deal double the normal contact damage. So that's another thing. You don't want to get hit by that spinning head. And Skeletron Prime will occasionally enter a rage mode from time to time, where it will start attacking more aggressively. That may be combined with that spinning attack. It's a little unclear on that, honestly. But this rage mode, supposedly, I was fighting it, and wasn't an obvious difference from me. But the wiki says that there's a rage mode, and the cannon will aim and fire directly at the player. The lasers will fire more frequently. The Saw will home in directly on the player, and the Vice will do more frequent, targeted, fast swipes or stabs. Supposedly, I don't know, when I was fighting it, honestly, I didn't notice the difference, but I tend to just kind of panic and try to dodge everything and not die, but that's just me. Now, like Skeletron, if Skeletron Prime is not beaten by Dawn, it will continually perform that charging head spin attack, and similar to the Dungeon Guardian and Skeletron as well, and once Dawn breaks, it gains 9,999 defense and will kill most players in a single hit. So Skeletron does a similar thing. When Dawn breaks, Skeletron Prime does that as well. It becomes basically, they both become kind of like the Dungeon Guardian and just keep trying to fly at you and kill you much quicker than normal and with much more defense and with a much higher attack value as well. Interestingly, there is actually no clear change in attacks for Skeletron Prime once you're in expert mode. Most of the bosses have some extra attacks and stuff. Skeletron Prime, there's nothing mentioned on the wiki, and I didn't notice anything either. So, but of course, in expert mode, Skeletron Prime will have much higher health and defense as usual. So still harder, but maybe not as much harder compared to some other bosses. So let's talk about the arena. So an arena to fight Skeletron Prime, you're going to want, as I sort of mentioned there earlier, something made out of platforms, something with lots of mobility. So I actually I had this little arena here before, and I basically doubled it because you want vertical and horizontal space. You want to be able to move quickly. This is just something that I did because I like stairs because you can run up and down them quickly. But you can make it however you like. Most people actually make levels of platforms, a whole bunch of levels, particularly for melee players. You would want that, lots of levels so that you can get in close at multiple levels as well. So there's different ways to do it, but definitely you want it above the ground, made out of platforms, because platforms will not detonate those bombs, and that's going to be important in not getting hurt. So again, may want multiple levels. You can build a house for your nurse with optionally a bed nearby as well, so that you can quickly teleport back and get a heal. Doesn't hurt. I had that with my original little arena here already. And on the updated platforms, it can also be useful to make a little house for your Dryad. As you can see, the Dryad has this debuff for enemies and buff for you. So you have Dryad's Blessing when I'm near, and the enemies get Dryad's Bane, which is what's happening to that slime right there. That only happens on the updated platforms, but it can be worth, that gives you a little boost and the enemies a little hit or a little negative. So that can be useful as well. Of course, you will want campfires and heart lanterns. I've got a heart lantern over here, and I've got one a little further over here, so that's why that doesn't go away for very long. In fact, you know what, I probably want to move that a little over here just so that it doesn't, there's a little gap there, you can see it go away for a sec. So you want them, you want to cover your arena's area basically with those buffs ideally. Cozy Fire helps your regeneration. Heart Lantern also helps your regeneration. If you're a magic user, you'll also want Star in a Bottle to boost your magic abilities. I think, yeah, it's mana regeneration. And you can also, optionally, I didn't do this, but you can put heart and star statues wired to pressure plates or timers so that you get mana stars and hearts to give you a little boost as well. On the updated platforms, sunflowers can also give you a little movement bonus and an enemy spawn reduction. So those are all things you might want to include in your arena if you want to maximize your boosts. So now let's talk about armor. Well, titanium is arguably the best armor option if available because it has the shadow dodge buff, helps you avoid damage. Frost armor and adamantite will work very well as well. Frost armor has the frost burn ability to inflict some extra damage. If you're on a pre-update mobile version or 3DS, you can actually get chlorophyte armor if you're lucky enough to find a Drax in a shadow chest. You can even find that in pre-hard mode. Of course, chlorophyte only comes once you're in hard mode. Frost armor gives you boosts for both melee and ranged, so I've certainly done that myself. I like frost armor as well. Adamantite, titanium, or chlorophyte can be used for magic melee or ranged players. Different headpieces for each one, of course. And orichalcum and palladium can also work if you're reasonable at dodging and so on. They're just lower defense, but orichalcum has the extra leaf attack thing, and palladium has a healing boost, so those can help you as well. Hallowed armor is also good, of course, if you've defeated enough of the other, if you've gotten enough hallowed bars from the other mechanical bosses. If you've defeated both of the other mechanical bosses, you might have enough, or if you farm one of them by defeating it at least twice, you would have to defeat at least 2 mechanical bosses to get enough hallowed bars to make the hallowed armor, but it is possible by that point. And if you're a summoner, you'll want the spider armor, unless you're on 3DS, because it doesn't exist on 3DS, and you're probably not going to play as a summoner this early in the game on 3DS. But let's move on to the next section. One sec. Okay. So let's talk weapons. Weapons that can hit from a distance will probably be best since Skeletron Prime moves and flies around quickly. Ranged weapons I'll talk about first then. On old gen 3DS and pre-update mobile, the Sharanga is a very good option, of course. That's a bow that you can even get in pre-hard mode, very powerful, but it's only on those platforms. The adamantite, titanium, or hallowed repeaters can also work very well, particularly with holy or ichor arrows. On the updated platforms, of course, you can get the Daedalus Storm Bow, excellent option as well, especially with holy arrows. Or piercing arrows can be good because piercing bullets or arrows can go through the arms and still hit the head as well, so that can be useful as well. As far as guns, crystal bullets or ichor bullets will probably be the best choices for ammo. Ichor, of course, only in Crimson Worlds. The Uzi, Mega Shark, Gatligator, or Clockwork Assault Rifle are all good gun options available on all platforms. On PC only for now, the Onyx Blaster can also work very well. It's probably going to come eventually to PS4, Xbox One, and eventually to mobile. But for now, it's PC only. Onyx Blaster is a good option, though. On the updated platforms, the Dart Pistol or Dart Rifle, on all the updated platforms, Dart Pistol or Dart Rifle with Ichor or Crystal Darts, also a good choice. Now let's talk melee weapons. The Ice Sickle and Light Discs are good options available on all platforms. I've got an Ice Sickle here, happen to get one. The Death Sickle or Banana Rangs can also work as similar alternatives if you're able to get those. The Flying Knife might also be a good option for melee weapons. That's just my thinking. I haven't really tried it, and it's not recommended on the wiki, but I think the Flying Knife should be a decent option as well. On the updated platforms, the Shadow Flame Knife is a great choice. That Shadow Flame debuff can be inflicted on the arms, although not the head. Also, a good yo-yo and yo-yo bag on the updated platform is also an excellent option. As far as magic weapons, in Crimson Worlds, the Golden Shower will be very helpful due to the Ichor debuff. So I got one of those. You may use it as a secondary weapon, which is my plan exactly, even though I'm not kitted out for magic. Switching back and forth between the Golden Shower and a more powerful weapon is a good idea, because the Ichor debuff will lower Skeletron Prime's defense, and then you can hit him harder with something else. It does, however, pierce, so it can also go through the arms and still hit the head as well, so it is useful in general. The Nimbus Rod might be a little useful to inflict some extra damage, but that, of course, depends on Skeletron Prime flying through the rain clouds that it produces. Magic Dagger could also work, just piercing and stuff. Flower of Frost can actually work reasonably well due to the Frostburn debuff. Again, Frost Armor has that for melee and ranged, but you can also use the Flower of Frost for magic users to inflict that Frostburn. On PC only for now, again, probably coming to other platforms eventually, the Sky Fracture is a very good choice. That was from the 1.3.3 update. So Xbox One, PS4 are now at 1.3.1. Hooray! They got just past the 1.3, but 1.3.3 is where the Sky Fracture comes in. So on the updated platforms in general, though, all the updated platforms, you can also use the Meteor Staff and the Crystal Serpent, both great choices on the updated platforms for magic, and the Shadow Flame Hex Doll might work as well. A bit of a guess there on my part. As far as summoning weapons, again, there's really nothing useful available on 3DS at this point in the game, but on all other platforms you can play as a summoner. Again, you'll want the Spider Armor. The Spider Staff will be the best choice to go with it for your Spider minions, and ideally you can combine it with some background walls. I've just put some here, had these on one of my previous ones already as a demonstration, because the spiders will climb the background walls, and that allows them to get around and attack the boss more easily. So you might want a big area if you're playing as a summoner with background walls so that your spiders can climb up and kill the boss for you. The Queen Spider Staff is useful as a sentry weapon at this point. The Optic Staff can also work very well if you've already defeated the twins in place of the Spider Staff there, or in combination you can actually combine multiple different types of minions as well. Optic Staff, of course, they fly around. The spiders are they're sort of ground-based, but they can climb the background walls. So again, on PC, after you've defeated one of the other mechanical bosses, you can also get reasonable sentries from the Old One's Army event. Just another option for sentry weapons. Again, that'll probably come to other platforms eventually. So now let's talk accessories and buffs. You are going to want to use the emblem for whatever class you're playing as to boost your damage output. Now, I tend to default to range, so I've got a ranger emblem. But you're going to want the emblem that's relevant for your class. The summoning emblem, of course, only exists on the updated platforms, unfortunately. But otherwise, on the pre-update platforms, however, there is a different advantage, which is that you can craft the Avenger emblem by this point. If you're on the pre-update platforms, on the updated ones, you have to wait a little until you've defeated, I believe, all 3 mechanical bosses. Which, you know, this is about one of those. Anyway, other stuff you're going to want is wings and or good boots. The best available are the Frozen or Leaf wings and the Lightning or Frostspark boots. So I have Leaf wings, Frostspark boots. If you're an expert, the Shield of Cthulhu can help with both dodging and defense. So I've got that in place here as well. Gives you a little extra defense and gives you that little dodge boost. Again, that's expert only, however. The Cross Necklace, or even better, the Star Veil, will also help with avoiding damage. It depends how many slots you have available, you know, how many of these you're going to use, of course. And the Frozen Turtle Shell is also a good option, or the expert-only Worm Scarf. If you're in a Corruption world, you can get the Worm Scarf, and that will also help you to reduce damage taken. Frozen Turtle Shell, always available. Worm Scarf is expert-only, Corruption only from the Eater of Worlds. Other accessories you can use. The Charm of Myths will help with health regeneration and also reduces the health potion cooldown time, so you can use your health potions quicker. I did throw one of those in here. Should have reforged that, actually. But other things you might want to use. The Ankh Shield, the Obsidian Shield, or the Cobalt Shield are excellent for melee users specifically, although they can be helpful for others as well. Also helpful particularly for melee users is the Moon Charm. The Magic Quiver is good if you're using a bow or repeater, including the Daedalus Stormbow, of course. That'll give you a boost there. And magic users will want the Magic Cuffs or the Celestial Cuffs to help restore your mana. On pre-update platforms, the magic users can also get the Celestial Emblem at this point. And on the other hand, on the updated platforms, if you're in a corruption world and you still have extra accessory slots, you might want to consider the Putrid Scent, which will give you a little damage and critical strike boost. And I have a shark tooth necklace in here. I don't know. It'll help a little. Other things, make sure to reforge your weapons and accessories to get a good modifier. For accessories, you can go for either menacing for damage output to maximize your damage, or you can go for warding for defense to maximize your defense so you don't get killed as easily. If you're an expert, you might want to go for warding because defense counts for more and you're going to need it more. Sharpening Station is good for melee. I don't have one of those here, but you can find those in the underground jungle and so on. Sharpening Station will give you a little boost. Or you can use the ammo box if you're playing as a ranged player. I didn't get one of those from the Traveling Merchant yet, but that's where they come from. Crystal Ball right here, that'll give you a magic boost. And Bewitching Table will give you a boost for the number of minions you can have, which of course is particularly useful for summoners, but it's useful for the rest of us too. So those are good things to have as well. You'll want food, of course, for your well-fed buff, which is particularly important on Expert. Potions, of course, can also give you an edge, so the best health potions available, of course, are going to be the best option. The best mana potions if you're a magic user. You're also going to want Iron Skin, Regeneration, Endurance, and Life Force. Those are all things that will help you survive the fight. You don't necessarily need all of them, but they're all good for helping you survive. Swiftness is useful for mobility, rage, or wrath, depending Corruption, Crimson, other way around, I think, for general damage boosts. The Archery Potion is good if you're using arrow-based weapons, bows or repeaters. And melee users will want to use Flasks, of course. So Ichor, if you're in a Crimson world, or Cursed Flames in a Corruption world, are good options. Ale or Sake can also help melee users to increase damage output, but lowers your defense. Magic users will want Mana Regeneration and Magic Power Potions. Summoning Potion, particularly again for summoners, but even for others, like the Bewitching Table, allows you extra minions. So you can combine that even if you're not a summoner. It's going to help you out. Alright, so last thing before showing you the fight, let's talk strategies. It's best to start the battle as close to nightfall as possible to maximize the amount of time available. Again, Skeletron Prime will kill you once dawn comes, so basically it's going to be incredibly hard to defeat him once dawn comes, so you will want to start that as close to 7:30 p.m. is when night falls in game time. It's good to have a watch for that. Of course, the music changes as well. That's another way of telling. And generally, you want to be very mobile to avoid the lasers, the saw, the vice, and the bombs. So again, your arena matters. Your boots or wings matter. I guess you could use a mount, but you could also take like a long, flat platform approach. I don't think that's as useful for Skeletron Prime. So a mount that runs fast would be good in that case. It's up to you, but it's best to focus on killing the arms first, as that reduces the number of attacks that Skeletron Prime will make, and also makes it easier to hit the head because the arms can actually block your attacks from hitting the head. The ranged limbs are the most dangerous, and they also happen to have the lower health and defense, so it's best to kill those ones first, particularly the laser. The arms from lowest to highest health and defense are interesting. The ones that have the lowest health are also the ones that have the lowest defense and vice versa. So the laser arm actually has the lowest health and defense. The cannon is second lowest. the Vice is third, and the Saw actually has the highest health and defense. So it's best to destroy the laser first, both because of its attacks and because it's the easiest to kill. And then you'll probably want to go for the Vice next. It's sort of optional if you want to kill them all, but I would definitely recommend taking out the laser arm. The Vice is a pretty good idea to take that out as well. Destroying the Saw and cannon arms are less important because the Saw kind of just hangs there and it's not really aggressive in the way it attacks you. And the cannon, if you are using a platform arena, again, those bombs aren't actually going to hit anything, so it's kind of not important to take that out. Although if you're using something with solid blocks like, you know, the asphalt that I laid out for some of the other ones, then you might want to take out the cannon. But otherwise, if it's a platform-based arena, it's rarely going to hit you, so it's not a big deal. On the updated platforms, it is possible, it's important to note, to target your minions or summons on a particular area by right-clicking on what you want them to attack. Or if you're on the consoles, that'll be your secondary button to target your minions or summons, and that can be really useful to help you take out the arms that you want to take out first. So that's basically that for preparation and strategies and all that stuff. So I'm just going to cut this and wait until nightfall, and I'm going to show you the boss fight. Alright, so it's just about nighttime. I'm going to want to get prepared here quickly. There's a few things that I just wanted to do and show you here. I am going to put up the Nimbus Rod thing. It's not a big deal. But also we'll want, of course, all my buffs, and I'll want my minions, even though I'm not playing as a summoner. Also going to use my golden shower immediately, so let's summon the boss. You can see, of course, the Ichor turns him yellow there. And I'm going to try to show you a variety of different weapons here. So again, I'm kitted out for ranged, but I will try to show you a few different things, and I'll need to switch back and forth. My Dryad's going to die very quickly, by the way, so don't expect that to last very long. Meteor Staff, again, going to be very helpful, but I'm going to run out of mana quickly. Mega Shark does alright. Yep, Dryad's dead. Nurse can heal herself, so that's less of a big deal. Mega Shark, I'm using crystal bullets there. That Ichor's definitely worth using in one form or another. Again, melee users can also use Flasks for that. You can see that Frostburn debuff. I'm using the Flower of Frost there. So those are all useful. But being that I tend to prefer ranged, I will be now showing you a couple of my favorite weapons for this. Actually, I do like the Onyx Blaster. Works very well. And I am going to try to focus a little bit on that laser arm. And of course also the classic Daedalus Stormbow. You can aim that, of course, which will help me take out that laser arm as well. There it goes. You can actually see my spiders there on the, was that the saw arm or the, no, that's the cannon arm they were attacking, so, you know, it would be a good idea to direct them at something particularly useful, but Daedalus Stormbow is a pretty powerful, easy option, obviously, particularly, I would say, for taking out those arms. I do like the Onyx Blaster as well, as I say, as a ranged player. Got a fair bit of time left here, so I'm not going to worry too much. And interestingly, I actually took away my cell phone, so I'm not going to be doing any quick teleporting here, but, you know, because Oh, I lost my nurse. Look at that. Well, I'm on my own. But yeah, my idea there was more that I would be able to just grapple up there if I'm sticking around the area, but that's also a good lesson why you might not want to stick around the same area as your nurse. Oh well, I'm not actually too worried about this, which is interesting because original regular old Skeletron gets way harder in Expert. A lot of the other bosses get, you know, significantly harder in Expert. Skeletron Prime, I don't find him that much harder. He doesn't really get any new attacks. You know, other than obviously the extra health and defense, and obviously he's going to do more damage as well. But all in all, it's not that big of a worry in Expert mode compared to a lot of other things that get way, way harder. So there you go. I beat him. And we're done that fight. Now, let's talk about, and you can see the jungle grows restless. I've now defeated all 3 mechanical bosses. That means Plantera bulbs are going to start spawning. But let's talk about drops. So Skeletron Prime always drops 20 to 40 Souls of Fright, 5 to 15 Greater Healing Potions, and 15 to 35 Hallowed Bars. Of course, my stuff's all going to be in the treasure bag because I'm an expert. Normally, if you're a normal, you'll get them all in your inventory, or you know they'll be sitting out on the ground until you get them. It's also a 1 in 7 chance that he'll drop the Skeletron Prime Mask, and a 1 in 10 chance that it will drop the Skeletron Prime Trophy. On the old gen consoles, there's also a 1 in 7 chance that Skeletron Prime will drop the Vanity Horned God Mask, which you can complete the set by getting the 3 pieces from all 3 mechanical bosses there as well. But it's a 1 in 7 for each piece from each boss, so I don't know. In Expert mode, of course, we'll always drop the treasure bag, and in that there will always be the mechanical battery piece, which is 1/3 of the mechanical cart. So once you defeat all 3 mechanical bosses in Expert mode, as I now have actually, you can craft the mechanical cart. And also, as with all hard mode treasure bags, there's also a 1 in 20 chance to get a full set of developer items. So let's see what I got. Open the treasure bag. I got the mask, and I got the battery piece, of course, and I got a good amount of Hallowed Bars and a good amount of Souls of Fright. So nothing too fancy, but I got stuff, and it's all the good stuff. So the basic good stuff. So anyway, that's my Skeletron Prime Expert Mode guide. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.